Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, text number 34. Yasmin Harir Bhagavan Ijyamana Ijyatma Murtirajatam Samtanoti Kamanam Hogasthirajangamana Antarbahirvayurivaisha Atma. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaichana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. In all sacrificial ceremonies, although sometimes a demigod is worshipped, the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is worshipped, because He is the super soul of everyone and exists both inside and outside like the air. Thus it is He only who awards all welfare to the worshipper. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. It is even sometimes seen that demigods like Indra and Chandra are worshipped and offered sacrificial awards. Yet the rewards of all such sacrifices are awarded to the worshipper by the Supreme Lord. And it is the Lord only who can offer all welfare to the worshipper. The demigods, although worshipped, cannot do anything without the sanction of the Lord, because the Lord is the super soul of everyone, both moving and non-moving. In Bhagavad Gita 9.23, the Lord Himself confirms this in the following shloka. Epi anya devata bhakta yajante shraddhayanvitaha tepi mameva kaunteya yajanti avidhi purvakam. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, O son of Kunti, is really meant to be alone, but it is offered without true understanding. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than the Lord Himself. The fact is that the Supreme Lord is one without a second. There is no God other than Lord Himself. Eka Brahma Dvitiya Nasti Brahma Sutra Vakya. Ekam Eva Dvitiyam Chandogya Upanishad. So who is that Brahma? Where in all Vedas it has been explained. So Brahma is that who is the Brahman? Brahman is Brahmanyo Devaki Putro Brahmanyo Madhusudano. So that Brahma is Devaki Putra Brahmanya Madhusudana. That is Krishna. It has been explained in all Vedas. So Prabhupada is giving a lot of evidences from the scriptures. So let's continue with the purport. Thus the Supreme Lord is eternally transcendental to the material creation. Natasya pratima asti. It is said that there is no one equal to God, Krishna, and there is no one is more greater than Him. This is Shvetashvatra Upanishad. As Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Mayatatam idam sarvam jagadavyakta murtinaha or tesham chaham teshu avasthitaha. Again in Bhagavad Gita, Najamastani bhutani pashyame prekutamaha. So, even though He has made this material world, is not part of this cosmic manifestation. So, let's continue with the purport again. But there are many who worship the demigods like the sun, the moon, and the Indra, who are only material representatives of the Supreme Lord. These demigods are indirect, qualitative representations of the Supreme Lord. A learned scholar or devotee, however, knows who is who. Therefore, he directly worships the Supreme Lord and is not diverted by the material qualitative representations. Narayana paro devas tasma jata chaturmakaha. From Varaha Purana, it says, Chaturmakaha, Brahma came from Lord Narayana. Tam Ishwaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. Again, it is explained in Shvetashvatra Upanishad. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, very important shloka, what is that? Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. So there is no greater than Him. Maheshwaram is the master of all creation. Mattaha parataram nanyat kinchit asti dhananjaya. So he is saying there is no one superior to Him. Again Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. Aham adir hedevanam. So many verses. So Prabhupada is giving a lot of evidences to this verse. We'll continue with the purport. Those who are not so learned worship such qualitative material representations, but their worship is unceremonious because it is irregular. Narayanat Brahma Jayate, Narayanadindro Jayate, Narayana Prajayata Prajayante, Kalascha Narayanaha. So everything is Lord Narayana. So it has been explained wonderfully that Srila Prabhupada, in every purport of his, it is rich with so many Vedic evidences that one need not have to read any other scriptures. So whatever Prabhupada is speaking here or is telling in this purports, it is a lot of with Vedic evidences. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad-Bhagavatam is such a wonderful Vedic literature, is a transcendent literature that even demigods become very happy and ecstatic by hearing the nectarian activities, glories of Krishna through this Bhagavatam. It is said that Hari Leela Kata Vrata Mritananandita Tatsuram. So Amrita Anandita. So just by hearing the nectarian activities of Krishna, even demigods become so happy and so ecstatic. Why they become so happy and ecstatic? Wonderful sloka. Yasyam Vaishruyamananam Krishnam Paramapurushe Bhaktirutpadyate Pumsam Shoka Moha Bhayapaha. So it is said that just by giving a oral reception to the Srimad-Bhagavatam, what would happen? By hearing this Bhagavatam, immediately the loving devotional mood to Krishna will be awakened. And as a result of this, what happened? Shoka moha bhayapaha. As a result of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam, the fire of lamentation, the fire of illusion, the fire of fearfulness, Shoka moha bhayapaha will be completely extinguished. So, the reason to say here is, even the demigods sometimes they get into illusion, they sometimes get into fearfulness. And even for them, this literature is giving them solace, happiness and ecstasy. And what to speak about our fortune, that every day we are supposed to read Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada has given all of us an opportunity to read Bhagavatam, hear Bhagavatam simply. And made us all fortunate to hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, today we will discuss some important points from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, title Punishment and Reward of Kali, and text number 34. So, we are in middle of Parikshit Maharaj chastising Kali. Who is Kali? Is also known as what? Adharma Bandhu. He is a troublemaker. So, very important that if this Kali is not checked, is not restricted, or if it is not stopped, so Parikshit Maharaj had an forethought, he foresaw that this Kali-purusha would corrupt his state with all kinds of irreligious activities. So because of that Kali-purusha, so because our Parikshit Maharaj didn't want Kali-purusha to be in his state, even though he surrendered to him. So, just in this one small episode, in a small pastime, that we can learn lots of wonderful lessons, ethical values, morals. So, let's try to understand few of them. So, let's take a review of what we had discussed in our previous classes, what was being heard. So, let's try to take some wonderful values from those episode. So the lesson 1, never make assumptions. So we all know that we all have heard from previous verses, when Parikshit Maharaj was on his tour, and when he got to know, when he saw this Kali-purusha, when his Kali is Kali's cruelty, Kali's atrocities, that he was beating this bull, he had tied the bull and the cow, and he was badly beating them to the death, And when Parikshit Maharaj got to know about this, immediately he went to that spot, he stopped that crime. So, as a leader of the state, as a king, he has to protect the dharma. But here, Parikshit Maharaj did not made his own assumptions and jumped into action. Now Kali, I got you red-handed. So what next is you have to kill him. Otherwise, go to court and things like that, it takes a lot of time. So red-handed, I saw you. I'm going to kill you now. But rather than making his own assumption, he went to bull and the cow and he inquired from them. What was the inquiry he made? That who was the perpetrator, who is the culprit, who was the criminal who has caused them so much pain and suffering. So, very important that we have to understand, mind always thinks negative. And assumption is a bad habit of the mind. To make us understand, let's hear one wonderful story by Krishna to Yudhishthira and Arjuna when they had a misunderstanding during Mahabharata war. So Krishna says that once there was a rishi by name Kaushika in his ashrama, he was meditating. So suddenly the 4 men barged into his ashrama and they started hiding themselves beneath the bed, behind the cupboard. And he was perplexed and he was shocked. What is happening? And followed by them was one fierce-looking man, a stout, fierce-looking man who came and he asked Kaushika, where are these 4 people who just came into your ashram to know about his whereabouts? Where are they? So Kaushika Muni was very innocent and he didn't want to tell lie. So he showed at the direction where they were hiding. And immediately it so happened, this fierce-looking man turned out to be a dacoit. And he caught hold of all these 4 people and he murdered right in front of Kaushika Muni in this ashram, killing all 4 of them. And ran away. And because of this crime, even Kaushika Muni had to get the sin of killing. Generally what happens, if someone steals and some robber steals our very valuable thing, he starts running. So in the front is running is a thief, and someone who's running behind is a loser or is a police. So similarly he also thought that the 4 people were the thieves and the behind was the police or as a loser. So Krishna here is conveying a message to the Pandavas that what seemed to be right may not be always right. So we shouldn't simply assume things. Sometimes some devotees get a chance to sing in front of the deities and there'll be mic, everything will be arranged. And when after a long time they get a chance to sing, but it so happens when as they are singing, they find themselves that volume has been reduced. And they start assuming things. What has happened? I'm singing at top of my voice, and still I'm not able to hear my own voice. What would others hear? So then he start making assumptions. Is my voice not good? They don't like it? Or what is that? Injustice happened to only me? Or to say a wife gets to know that her husband's mobile password has been changed. A lot of assumptions would come in. Or by chance she sees her husband smiling at some unknown woman. So all kinds of answers you have to be keeping, satisfying her. So very importantly, we have to understand that we keep making assumptions. So we have to learn to be constantly clarifying. We have to learn to be constantly clarifying our doubts or our misconception right from the source or from the authorities, so that our doubts are cleared and we can have a fact check. We can actually decode our facts by asking, by inquiring. Nowadays, a lot of WhatsApp messages, lots of videos, the fake videos, things like that. Parallel to that, there are fact check videos would keep coming. So, very important to know that assumption is very bad habit of the mind, that we should not do that. So, there is wonderful saying that a deaf ear is an indication. A deaf ear is an indication of a closed mind, and a sealed lip is an indication of a bad communication. So, we should all have an open mind, and also we should have a sufficient maturity to understand the situation, understand things. Lesson 1. So what is the lesson 2? No blame game. So further, when Bull started answering, we all heard in the previous classes that Bull started answering to Parikshit Maharaj's question. So he's saying it's very difficult to ascertain the particular miscreant who has caused them suffering and pain. So the Bull is saying, my own karma may be the cause, Prakriti, material nature may be the cause, Daiva may be the cause. So, O Parikshit, so with your own intelligence, judge by yourself. So, like in Bhagavatam it says, Tattenu kambam susamekshamanam bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. So it says, the devotee of the Lord suffers all the sufferings which he gets by himself without blaming anyone for his suffering. Rather, he waits patiently for the Lord's grace, Lord's mercy. So probably this Bull reads Bhagavatam every day, I think so. So he gets to speaking the same Bhagavatam words. So we have to understand this Bull was none other than Dharma personified. So he is speaking the essence of all Vedic literature, this Bhagavatam. So we all have to understand in our life that we all have some or the other shortcomings, some lacunas, some defects with us. In order to make people not know about our defects, we start blaming situations, we start blaming people, so that we keep ourselves so perfect. So that is one nature of all of us. So in Mahabharata, there's a wonderful history. In Mahabharata, once when Gandhari got to know, Kunti first gave birth to the child, Yudhishthira. So she started bursting out with a lot of enviousness, jealousy, anger, that this boy later would become the next heir of the kingdom. So she was so much desperate, that she put the blame on the unborn child in her own womb. And as a result of that, she struck her womb so fiercely. As a result of that, what happened? A lump of living flesh came outside, infused with same greed, same jealousy. And with the help of Vyasadeva, the Kauravas were born with the same jealousy, same enviousness. And similarly, when Dhritarashtra got to know that Kunti first gave birth to Yudhishthira, gave the first child, Yudhishthira, he also got so much wild and started bursting out with envy and jealousy. So to whom he would blame on? So he blamed Gandhari. This woman is not giving birth to a child which is there right in her womb from many months and years. So in order to teach her lesson, he got a son by name Yutsu from his maidservant. So, very importantly, we have to understand, we should be very careful in pointing out at anyone. We should be very careful. We should not never blame anyone in that sense. Before that, we have to inquire. Otherwise, mind always creates negative things. So, on a lighter note, there's a humor in this. Einstein says, you can't blame gravity. You can't blame gravity for falling in love. So, here, after Parikshit Maharaj got to know about this, so he deliberated over this whole incident and he decided to kill Kali. And Kali, when he got to know about this, that Parikshit Maharaj is going to kill me now, next moment, out of great fear, so what he did? He did Dandavat, he did Namaskara. What is the Tat Padamulam Shirasa Samagad Bhaya Vihvalaha? So immediately he removed all his attire, kingly attire aside, and immediately fell at the feet of Parikshit Maharaj, tightly holding his lotus feet. So, very importantly, we have to understand lesson 3, protection from Kali. How to get protection from Kali? We all know that Mukti is always a servant to the pure devotees. Muktir Mukulitanjali Sevate Smat. Similarly, even Bhukti or the Kali is also become servant of pure devotees. So, when we learn to surrender to pure devotees like Parikshit Maharaj or Srila Prabhupada, sincerely, we have to follow the instructions so that no Kali or his father can really disturb in our devotional service. Just like Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dhuratyaya. It's very difficult to overcome Maya. But if you surrender to Krishna, and automatically you can come out from all the difficulties. And whichever difficulty, in whichever status of life we are in, when suffering and traumas and difficulties, painful situations, we have to take shelter of Krishna. So this is what is shown here. So that all protection would come about and we will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Mat chitta sarva durgani mat prasada tarishyasi. So we can come out from all difficulties and impediments or obstacles in our life just by surrendering to Krishna. So, lesson number 4, pride in Krishna, pride in Krishna's service. So if we don't take pride in serving Krishna, we have to take pride in serving Maya. So then what happened? So when he came and then Kali, he surrendered and asked for forgiveness. Immediately, aha chedam hasan iva. Parikshit smiled. So Parikshit smiled. Does it mean that Parikshit was very proud of his prowess that he was able to subdue Kali? He smiled. And there's a statement saying, there's a wonderful quote, that the greatest blunders are made while celebrating proximity to success. So it was that reason that he started smiling? No. It was not a smile of pride, but it was a smile of compassion. That the devotees of Krishna, when devotees of Krishna, even Kali has to surrender. So when we take shelter of Krishna, Krishna's devotees, even Kali will not harm or trouble that devotee. We have to understand this. Or even if you take hypothetically, we can take that even Kali had thought, even Parikshit Maharaj has smiled, little smile because of his slight pride. If someone appreciates, generally pride comes how someone appreciates you. Actually, we all have been appreciated by someone. We can't deny this. Either wife or children or colleagues or friends or unknown people, someone will keep appreciating us. So Kali comes in form of appreciation. And a very good thing is in our institution, ISKCON, Prabhupada has made such a wonderful system that no pride can work here, because similarly, immediately he will be taken to some other department or change the service. So we have wonderful system. And practically, I was saying, recently we are booking some tickets to Chardham, where devotees are going. And I was so struggling. There was Madhavendra Puri. I just met him and he said so and so. He said he had to write a mail to or speak to Haribhakta Prabhu. And Haribhakta Prabhu told to Dashasuta Prabhu. And this went on for a long time. The OTP has to go to that mobile and he has to transfer to this mobile and transfer here. Practically, devotees don't have any money. And they're so surrendered to Krishna. I was saying the Kali has to break his head to really enter in devotees' lives, unless until the devotees want themselves to go out. So, in this today's verse also, very important we have to understand that how pride can take us away from Krishna. There's a wonderful quote by Srila Prabhupada. I read it. It is in 16th chapter, the previous chapter. Parikshit Maharaj was a Mahabhagavata, so he was always conscious of Krishna, or first-class devotee, who was not only well-versed in the science of devotion, but also able to convert others to become devotees by his transcendental instructions. So, yad bhavam tad bhavati, or we say yatha manaha tata vak. So, Parikshit Maharaj was always Krishna conscious, always thinking about Krishna. Satatam kintayanto mam, just Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chetada manasaha, Ananyas chintayanto mam. So many verses Krishna says that always he was in Krishna consciousness. So that's what he is speaking out, Krishna conscious philosophy in the previous verse and this verse. So we have to understand that if at all he took pride in subduing the Kali, immediately next thing what he did was, he was appreciating Krishna. He started glorifying Krishna. So let's all pray to Krishna that if we got to know, if I get a good sense that I was a little proud now, immediately we should surrender to Krishna, make some prayers to Krishna. So, the lesson number 5 is Parikshit Maharaj was greatest preacher. Just imagine Parikshit Maharaj, he did not leave any opportunity to preach the glories of Krishna. He used all opportunities. So if we want to show our love and devotion to our Guru and Krishna, what we have to do? We have to follow the rules and regulations, instruction of Guru and Krishna. Very sincerely, seriously, just Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Yare deke tarekaha Krishna upadesh. So similarly, we have to understand Parikshit Maharaj is teaching us a lesson that we should not settle comfortably in family life. We should go out and preach. Prabhupada says, no preaching, no attraction for Krishna. So, here Parikshit Maharaj is not looking at someone's position and status and is preaching. He just started preaching about Krishna in these 2 verses. It's a very important point to be noted. So, Prabhupada says that in Kali Yuga, people hardly go to the temple. And so that we have to take temple to the people, Prabhupada says. So essence of this Krishna conscious movement is preaching, Sankirtan movement. It's such a wonderful moment Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got us that we don't have to build a temple to practice Krishna conscious. It is a portable spirituality, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got it. You take on Mridanga or Kartal somewhere, sit and do Kirtan. Okay, even Kartal Mridanga is not there, clap and do Kirtan. So, such a wonderful thing that even Parikshit Maharaj went out to do preaching. So we have to understand this. So when we go, so the only one common denomination among all of us, maybe the Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas, or any devotees, wives, children, or we are in different departments, communication department, puja department. There's a common denomination for also all of us to get together, to be together, is this preaching. That we have to do. So while doing preaching, we find, practically we are fighting against the Kali. So very important is we must be having the willingness to sacrifice, to serve Krishna, to spread Krishna consciousness. And that's what sacrifice, the word sacrifice has been used in this in this verse. The biggest sacrifice is what? Is by doing Sankirtana, by doing Nama Sankirtan or Nama Japa, so that Krishna can burn away all our sins. And the lesson number 6 is Parikshit Maharaj had strong conviction. What is the conviction? That is a nishtha. Avashya rakshate Krishna vishwasa balava drudam. So, Parikshit Maharaj was so much convinced that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhoktaram ekadasam savlokamesham. It's all completely, he was convinced. So, if we are not convinced in the way we are following, whether it's reading, whether it's practicing Krishna, anything, doing devotional service, if you are not convinced in what you are doing, everything is just an artificial, it's just a drama which we are doing. We may be in different dress, but we are just doing a drama. So we should have a lot of conviction. So how to get conviction in our lives? We should deliberate, we should contemplate in every aspect of our Krishna conscious life, whether we're reading, whether we're talking, whether we're hearing, our experience, you're doing, got some realization within you, and you should be always deliberating, just like cow mulches. It eats off the grass and start mulching whole day. You should be mulching on the things which we have learned in Krishna consciousness. That's how we get a lot of conviction in our life, and we can believe that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, as we can see, the Parikshit Maharaj did not compromise. and you have become a diplomat or now have some duplicity here. You're right on the face. He is speaking about Krishna's message. So, that what is that? Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead, and he is Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwaraha. He is everything. He is only one God, just like this Muslims do, they do azan. Every day they do Allah Akbar, Illallah, what they write. Probably every one of our house, we should have some loudspeaker and we should speak this verse. So that is the greatness of this verse. So, Buddhya Dhrita Grihitaya. So, our intelligence will be sustained by this conviction. So, very importantly, we have to deliberate on the things which we are doing. Over a period of time, we become very complacent. So, we should be always cautious and careful, just like Parikshita. So, we should train our mind to be like so that no Kali can enter our hearts. So it so happens we have to give the best thing to, we all say we have to give our hearts to Krishna. But something is in our heart which is very much lovable to us. Give that lovable thing to Krishna. So that Krishna can slowly enter your hearts and become your master of the heart. So Krishna very much says, Samstabhyatmanam Atmanaha. So only by constant contemplation and deliberation in whatever you are doing, that we can get this conviction. So, that we have to read Srila Prabhupada books very scrutinizingly, sincerely, regularly, so that our theoretical conviction can be strengthened, and we have to do devotional service every day, every moment. If you are unable to come and do, at least you should be repenting that I am able to do this, so that your practical conviction can be strengthened. So, here we can see that activities of Kali-purusha, we can also see right in front of our eyes, a lot of falsehood, there is a lot of pride, a lot of greed, a lot of incivility in society, a lot of quarrel among nations, quarrel among states, quarrel among our society, among our families, among ourselves. There's so much disturbance in our own life. It's all because of Kali's influence in our life. So the victory of Kali, Kali is always victorious, and the victory of Kali is being published and broadcasted by its own department. So Kali also has one department called communication department. So what the communication department does, every day this Kali the assistants of Kali, they broadcast and spread the achievements and success of this Kali in terms of newspaper, news media, and things like that. It so happens, so we as a devotees, we sleep at the night and morning Mangalarti is there. We have to go to Mangalarti. We'll be so anxious. We go to the Mangalarti, at least if not out of love, out of fear of our temple commander, we'll be very much afraid. So we come and things like that. But people outside who are living outside, they're so anxious. They're waiting when this newspaper would come, so that I can spend some time, I can read this. Probably it is like they're thinking like it's like a love letter every day. They're looking for the newspaper boy to come and give that love letter. And they read for 2 to 3 hours, and whole day they'll be discussing about that. All the achievements and activities of the Kali. Bhagavatam Shrotavyadini Rajendra Runam Shanti Sahasrastada Apashyata Matva Tattam Gruhesh Grahamedinam. So the people who are bereft of spiritual knowledge, who are ignorant of absolute truth, knowledge of absolute truth, they have many things to discuss. So, just imagine that people spend so much time. Actually, what I was speaking was my grandfather's age. These times, people used to read. My grandfather used to read some 2 to 3 hours of newspaper, and we were children, so he used to speak about so many things whole day. But now Kali has accelerated the whole process, the process to send us back to home, back to work, back to hell. So he wants more accelerated process, very fast. So then in my father's age, so what had happened, it came a TV. So TV came, and we were all there. There was a DD1 and DD9, Kannada channel was the Chandana, so DD1, DD9. So they were there, and morning probably in the prime time, 7:30 or 70 a.m. or 7 and 7:30 a.m. and evening 7:30 there will be there is a Doordarshan. So there will be news. Why I'm saying this? When I was watching that, I used to hear the same voice in my neighbor. my house, the next house, that house, front house, back house, same voice, same sound. So everyone was so hooked on to know the activities and achievements of Kali, and they was to sit there and listen the news. And news also is not what that, shocking news, breaking news, nothing like that. Just simple, one person used to sit like this, and like Om Shanti, and he used to he used to talk. And that my father used to sit and used to very studiously used to see that. And if my sister used to make some disturbance and all, used to keep quiet and used to become very angry. Just imagine the plight of ours, so pathetic. And Kali got to know that this will not work out. So this will not work out. I have to come out with some other way so that we can catch the people. People are all becoming devotees of ISKCON. Devotees are preaching. So we have to do something. So Kali transformed themselves into this mobile. And transformed into this mobile, and every moment. It's every moment. Mobile means what? Moving. So it is a moving Kali. So it's a moving Kali. So it was a time when my grandfather's time, it was just once in a day. And once in a day, and then it became static as a TV. It was to be in one corner of my house. Now it is in pocket of all of our shirts. So we all keep carrying this mobile Kali, and every now and then there's a lot of notifications coming in, and when you open there's the news apps or something like that, there's a lot of shocking news, the breaking news, flash news, the shaking news, so many things. And practically I was thinking, after so much shocks and breaks, still how people are alive. I really wonder. So many shocking and breaking news, still the people are living happily in this material world. So Kali has come about in different ways and means to capture us, delude us, conquer us, and make us a servant of the Kali. So very important is that we have to be very careful. Always train our mind like Parikshit Maharaj, so that Kali can't conquer us, can't delude our minds, and we can't bring about some misunderstandings, some disputes, some disagreements within our lives. And right in our own life, you can see that people we have been voted for, the leaders, they themselves want to, the Kali is acting upon them, through them. And our leaders want to bring about a lot of disharmony and disturbance in the society, that foolishly they make some hate statements on Sanatana Dharma. So many things they make hate statements. So they're so happy seeing people fighting for this. And they're fighting a lot of quarrel among the people. They're so happy looking at this. So it's not a democracy we are in. Actually, it is a demoniac. It's not a democratic, it is a demoniac. Prabhupada says. So, because of all these reasons, Parikshit Maharaj didn't want this Kali-purusha to enter his kingdom. So, as a responsible king or as a responsible leader, he is to protect all the citizens so that they live in peace and harmony in the society, so that the purpose of human life will be fulfilled, to go back to home, back to Godhead. That was the real purpose. So, right now, we can see again, I've been bombarded with a lot of news that G20 happened recently, and all the leaders of the other countries came to India. They all shook hands, hugged each other, and had dined each other, everything, dined together, everything. It so happened that after a week or so, some country, because of some other misinformation, became a dushman. So Canada became dushman of India. So at no point of time Kali can act upon. There is a sense of disagreement, a dispute, and they become rivals, and they become so much against. Just imagine the effect of this Kali. So because of all this reason, Kali didn't wanted to be in his kingdom. To give an example, if someone comes to you as a stranger in the house, generally we don't allow him. If he says, okay, I want to stay in your house, generally we don't allow. Okay, hypothetically we allow that. He stays in a house. In just next to 2-3 days, So he starts acting improperly with our children, with our wives. It so happens, and starts quarrel with us, and so many things. So what would we do? So would we make him sit and give Bhagavad Gita class? Oh, please come here, so and so, and give him Bhagavad Gita class. Kutastvam kashmalamedam shame sampasthitam. After giving whole Bhagavad Gita, you say, Vimarshiyet asheshani yateshasi satakuro. Would we do that? Probably, if he is planning to take sannyas, he would do that. But generally, what would say? Hey, get out, or give police complaint. Similarly, here Parikshit Maharaj is reprimanding Kali-purusha and making him that no way that you can stay in my place. So why we have to understand this, that Parikshit Maharaj's kingdom was so well organized. Rajadani Samipecha Sachidananda Vigraha, 24/7 Krishna was being worshipped there. Paramotsaha Puja Dravyani Cheshtani Nunani Pratikshanam. In our temple, we have the new dresses for the deities, probably four times a year, or one time jewelry for the deities. But in his place, when Parikshit Maharaj was there, every day there was a new dress for the deities. Every day there was new jewelry to deities. So that was a great service he was doing. And Vishnu Naiveditas Sarve Taddesha Vasinaha. So in his kingdom, practically all the restaurants, all the hotels, all the eateries, all the eat-outs were completely with the prasadam, and people used to have only prasadam. Pundrikaksha devasya tasya darshana lobataha mahaprasada rupanat. Practically the beasts, the birds, aquatics, and all of them, were fed with mahaprasadam. Sadhu sangati labacha nana desha samagataha. So people used to come from the foreign lands, and they wanted to settle in this place. Because just like we all to go to Vrindavan and we want to settle there. So similarly here, because they were getting association of Krishna, association of devotees. So practically, Deshasta Deva Viprebhyo. So practically, Parikshit Maharaj has given his rule to Brahmana Vaishnava Brahmanas. So because of that, there was no calamity, there was no suffering, there was no fear, and the ground was producing so many crops without tilling or plowing. And there was a lot of good rains. Swadharmam krita sarvataha sukinaha krishna tatparaha. So people were completely free from all pridelessness. The swadharma kritaha. Just imagine, in this today's verse also, Parikshit Maharaj is saying that Krishna is a maintainer, protector, and sustainer. Whether you do so here Parikshit Maharaj was very clever to understand the motive of this Kali, that okay, Parikshit, you are saying you are a devotee of Krishna, so you are speaking about only Krishna, so I will not touch Krishna devotees, but I will touch demigod worshippers. Krishna says, Kamastete Gnanaha Prapadyantana Devataha. Krishna says very well in Bhagavad Gita and many other places, as I quoted, Prabhupada gives evidence from various scriptures about the Krishna's position and the demigod's position, but still, the Parikshit Maharaj was such a able, magnanimous Vaishnava that he is mentioning the demigods, worshippers, who are considered less intelligent in terms of not they were mad or they're insane. But the worship of demigods means what? They are in terms of philosophical insights. So, because they want immediate benefit. So he's even including them. So he is including them, and further what he says, Jangamaha, Stavara Jangamaha. So including, he says, you moving and non-moving living entities. So practically he is locking up, saying that you can't stay in my place in any way. So if you see Parikshit Maharaj, when he was speaking about this, there was existing one dharma, Sanatana Dharma, and he was speaking about this. Probably if there was the so-called isms as of now, the Buddhism, Jainism, and Islam, Christianity, he would have included those also. But he said only what, because he didn't want it in this kingdom. So we can very much look back and see, on the outside we can very much see that Parikshit Maharaj didn't wanted this Kali, which creates a lot of disagreement, lots of disputes, lots of quarrels among people in his kingdom. So this is very much important in our life, that we have to bring in about the Parikshit Maharaj kind of thoughts so that we don't allow Kali to conquer our hearts. So the best way to do is Sarva Deva Mayo Hari Guruhu, that's what I say. So we have to worship Guru as good as God and follow all of his instructions so that Sarva Deva Mayo Guruhu, so they are representation of the demigods. And one more important point we have to see is, Parikshit Maharaj never condemned demigod worshippers. He told that even though they are worshipping, actually it is meant to Lord Krishna, but he never condemned here. Sadly, what happens in our ISKCON, sometimes we demonize demigod worship. It's very false. Prabhupada never did that. So we have to give them proper place. We are not like Christians, throw that all this in the river or throw that everywhere outside your house. Not like that. So we have to put in our altar, in the top position, Krishna, and below that your Kula Devata, Grama Devata, Ishta Devata, what was there. Below that, you offer all the respects to Krishna, and all the prasadam, everything, and also back to the demigods. That is a proper way of understanding. Otherwise, we have to learn from Parikshit Maharaj here that he never ever condemned the demigod worship here. He also respected. And we have to understand this, that the fundamental right of the citizen was well protected. The right to speech, right to live, right to practice, everything was well protected. Everyone's interest was well protected. That was Parikshit Maharaj's rule. That was Sanatana Dharma. So, we're running short of time, but I would conclude here with one wonderful story, wonderful pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquered the illusory forces of this material world. So, I would take 10 more minutes of yours, provided you will or like. So, thank you by your smiles and your... there's wonderful pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that this has been, this is from one of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's follower, Kavi-Karnapura, Srila Kavi-Karnapura, in his book Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka. So, in previous verses we heard that there was a conversation between Dharma in the form of a cow and Dharani in the form of Dharma in the form of a bull and Dharani in the form of a cow. There's a conversation between the degraded age, how it would be, all those things, the lamenting things. We heard that's the conversation. So here there's a conversation between Adharma and the Kali. So Adharma, once he comes to Kali and he says, this is your age and you can delude people, you can conquer people's heart and confuse them in any way we want, and no one can challenge you. You have all the rights, and so started glorifying him. But here, on the other hand, Kali was very morose, very despondent, very sad, and then the Adharma personified, he's saying, "What has happened to you? Why you are sad?" Then Kali-purusha started answering that, "Actually, I only see dark and gloom. All my attempts to conquer the people's heart has been failing now. It has been completely baffled now." Then Kali-purusha, then the Adharma person is saying, "What has happened? You have brought on big monarchs and kings. What has happened?" Then Kali-purusha is saying, "This one young Brahmana boy is completely shattering all my plans." Then Adharma person is saying, "Who is this young boy? Because of a young Brahmana boy only you got entered Shringi. So you are worried about one more young Brahmana boy?" So then he says, "Who is this boy?" Then Kali-purusha started answering that, look, from many years, Navadvipa was inundated with the people who are dharmic, who are following the principles of dharma so ardently that I conquered their minds, captured them, deluded them, that they follow their dharma very righteously without bhakti. They get so much of piety without any spiritual value, getting to know our spiritual value in it. They do a lot of rituals without trying to uplift up their consciousness. So this is how I deluded the people. But this one young Brahmana boy, right from his birth, he started tormenting me. So he was born during the lunar eclipse. And generally, when any eclipse happens, we all take bath. After the end of eclipse, after the eclipse, we take bath. Nowadays we have pipes, taps and things like that. We take bath in our homes. But initially people used to go at the banks of river Ganges or some river or pond and they used to take bath, and while taking bath, they used to chant the holy name of the Lord. And during that process, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born. So, this little boy, Nimai, he made all inauspicious time auspiciousness and all inauspicious age auspiciousness. And so Kali continued saying that, so I thought, I waited for some time, and as a child, I started deluding him with a lot of toys, a lot of friends. I sent him, and he became very childish, very naughty, troubling others. So I thought, now I conquered him. But this young boy, I never forgets Krishna. And whenever he used to cry with that shrill voice, that sound, people could not bear. Better they would chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, used to make people chant holy name. So all my plans was foiled. And this Adharma person said, you have so many snares, so many ways that you can conquer people's hearts. Why didn't you try to get moha, attachment, through attachment? Yes, even I did that. When this Nimai was very young, I made his younger brother Vishwarav Rupa to leave home, so that his parents would be very much greatly attached to him, and he would have a lot of responsibilities, and he would be bound by the affection of his parents, so that this would happen. So I was very much successful, and I sent his younger brother and made him take sannyas, and I was fully, this boy was completely under the grip of the attachment to us in his family. So I made that attachment more stronger and stronger by bringing out one kind of pride within it. So I got him a lot of scholars to go around him, be around him, so that he also developed that desire to become scholarly. So bhakti is what? We want bhakti. Bhakti means we'll go to Krishna. So become more scholarly. So at the age of 14, he became so erudite in his scholarship and so clever and intelligent in his scholarship that he was able to debate and defeat many people, a lot of logic, argument, things like that. So now I thought I have conquered him. And even I sent this Keshava Kashmiri, who was a Digvijayi Pandit, who had won across everywhere in India, and had sent him over there. Practically people were so much afraid of debating with him, so that because they were sure that they would lose all of their accolades and the earnings. So they sent this small Nimai Pandit, but Nimai Pandit defeated him. And now I thought he would be very much proud, very much, he has a pride within him. So this pride, it went on for some time, but this Nimai Pandit, he went to Gaya and met his guru, Ishwarapuri, and there he got this holy name, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. From then onwards, he took up the process of chanting holy name, and all my attempts got failed. So what about this greed? Then Adharma. Adharma is saying, why are you worrying? So many, among 6 there, so many are there, and greed no could not try, no. So then Adharma, then Kali said, even I tried that. So because he was a little scholarly and things like that, Nimai Pandit, so he used to travel to many faraway places and used to give classes, he used to give talks and things like that. People used to give a lot of accolades, lot of money, lot of dakshina to him. So that he would be attached to that all this money. So I thought like that. And he got all of those and brought it to his house to show it to his father. At that time, by the will of Providence, his father passed away. And as a responsible son, he gave away all those things in charity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit, he gave away all these earnings which he had in charity. So if we have greed, the best way to dovetail or purify our greed is by giving away everything in charity. So here also, when the previous one was pride, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found that better than scholarship, Vedantic scholarship, he got more pleasure and more happiness in doing devotional service. So that he showed us here. So after this greed, he could not be successful. Then what happened? There's a mother, Matsarya. So it so happened as when they were, what is that, envy, Matsarya. So the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to conduct some kirtan in Shiva's Pandit's house, and it was very private, it was very closed, and no one was allowed to enter in that. So Kali-purusha, he made Brahmanas get to know about this, because that time Brahmanas were so powerful in any religious rituals that they were leaders. They had to come there so that they get some dakshina. That's how their livelihood used to go on. But here, there's some religious activities going on, and where Brahmanas are not allowed. In fact, one Brahmana came to Shiva's house and he asked to enter, but he was not allowed because he was not a devotee of Krishna. So he will make some comments, someone is doing dancing, things like that. So he make offenses. So he was not made to allow. So next day when this Brahmana was taking bath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to take bath in the Ganges. So this Brahmana cursed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he will not find any happiness in family life. Because you don't give dakshina to Brahmanas, just like in Jagannath Puri, Brahmanas give dakshina like that. So you don't give dakshina, you will not find any happiness in your family life. Because they were thinking in the understanding that dharma will lead to the artha will lead to the kama. So when dharma you do for artha and kama. So artha and kama, if they don't enjoy, then dharma is for what? Who wants for moksha? Who has seen that moksha? So here the Chaitanya was very happy that this artha and kama is lost, completely free from that. In fact, Kali was again baffled by this enviousness. Then Mada. So then Chaitanya, then Adhama Purusha is saying, why not through some other way? Some other way you could have done that, but through your anger, krodha. So yes, even I did that. What happened when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Nimai Pandit used to go to everywhere and used to do kirtans. It so happened, this all Brahmanas got together and complained Kazi. We all know this story. And Kazi got to know about this and comes and breaks the Mridanga. So now there will be anger for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And in fact, his anger was something different. It was transcendental. So he got all the people at the night and he marched towards Kazi's house and he knocks. Kazi was hiding. Then Kazi comes out and there's a wonderful conversation. So immediately after seeing Kazi, the Kali was thinking that now there will be all bad words. All unheard words would come about and he will kill Kazi. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did, oh dear uncle, so he was, my father also belongs to your same village, so you are like my uncle. So then there is a conversation between them and finally Kazi says that the previous night when I did this act of breaking this Mridanga, some ferocious animal came and ripped apart my chest. Please see this chest. And there is a half lion and half man. There is a Narasimha who came. So in that he says, wonderful, is a Chaitanya Simha. He is none other than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as a Narasimha and he taught him a lesson. Chaitanya Simhera Navadvipe Avatara Simhagriva Simhavirya Simhera Hunkara. So even that was not successful. But even I tried best again when Chaitanya when the Nimai Pandit was going out for Kirtan, and one side Nimai Pandit was to go to Kirtan some other place, and Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya was to go preaching to some other place. But when Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya used to go to the worst places, to where bars used to be there, brothels used to be there, the things used to be there, so that if those devotees, those people become devotees, it become big news. You don't have to pay for the media. So it become a big news. So this is the best way of propagating Chaitanya's philosophy. So they meet Jagai Madai first day, but they could not be as successful. Again, the next day they go, and we all know the story that Nityananda Prabhu was, Madai throws the drunken pot on the Nityananda Prabhu and he gets hurt, and immediately Chaitanya will get to know about this. Now the Chaitanya Prabhu will get angry. So let's see this, because this is his own child is being hurt now. So then Chaitanya Prabhu comes over there and about to devour Jagai, Madai, but Nityananda Prabhu caught hold of Chaitanya Prabhu's feet and he says, please stop this. Actually, you know what? Madai didn't wanted me to do this. He stopped Jagai doing this heinous act. Please forgive this. Immediately Chaitanya Prabhu became very sober, very cool, and he gave up his idea of killing this both brothers. And he goes to the Madai that you wanted to protect my associate, I will hug you. So when he started hugging him, seeing this Jaga also got transformed. What is happening? And he also, both of them transferred, they hugged the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And their Advaita Acharya is seeing that all the sin of this Jaga Madai entered Gaura Chandra, and he became Krishna Chandra. So he became so black. So then after that there's a lot of tumultuous kirtan, things like that. Again he became Gaura Chandra. So that the story goes like that. So finally there was the last weapon, lust. So Adharma is saying, hey, this last weapon, Adharma, this lust cannot be conquered by anyone, and everyone falls victim to it. So why didn't you try that? Yes, even I tried that. Actually, I influenced Vanamali, who was a matchmaker for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and got him married to Lakshmi Priya. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go outside almost weeks together outside doing kirtan and all those things. Out of separation, she passed away. So again, I made him get married to one more Vishnu Priya. And after the marriage, it so happened the Vishnu Priya was such a devoted wife, chaste wife. She was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so menially, and serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother so menially, and they were so pious, and everything was good. And generally what would happen, something goes so wrong in our life, we become frustrated and we do renunciation. Generally we do, not that everything is well, good, fine, flourishing, and we renounce. Actually renunciation means that, when everything is there at your hand, you renounce it. But here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everything he had, and he renounced completely, and he became sannyas, and all the effect and the energy which Kali-purusha and Adharma had put was foiled by this whole incident. So we all get to know that if we follow the same principle as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us, just like he transformed Jagai Madai, he can transform all of us, and he can install Krishna Prema right in our heart, so that we can fulfill the mission, human mission, and also please gurus by following all of his instructions. Anyone has any question? So it is 10 o'clock. So thank you all of you so much saying this. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.